Okay, ich, die, chi.
Ross, I just feel so peaceful today. I think this is going to be a great podcast because I just have this alignment, this kind of centered feeling. And I think today there should be no messing. I know people like the comedy, but we should just really, I think we can reach people. Yeah. I just have that feeling.
What's got you feeling this way?
Well, you know what I did this morning? I got up early. You know, I have early classes on a Saturday morning, but I got up and I just went down to the sea. In the middle of November, and I got in the sea and I went for a swim.
Swim in the sea?
I'm telling you, man, it was magic.
Dublin?
Yeah. November in Ireland is about 8 degrees outside, and I got in the water and my ball sack went... And then I got out and I just felt my third eye aligning with my arsehole chakra, and man, it's powerful. It's profound.
I woke up to darkness. I pulled back the veiled curtain and found nothing but shadow.
Yeah, you've been having a shit week, haven't you?
I've been a wee bit depressed, yeah. yeah. I'm not centered. My third eye's nowhere near my asshole.
It's not supposed to. What's the name of the arsehole chakra? Well, I don't know the names of any of the chakras. The bottom chakra. Welcome to the Hombu Dojo podcast, where we got our eyes and our arseholes all sorted out, whether you're swimming in the sea or not.
Yeah, man. So you're feeling good.
Yeah, it was the first time I've ever done one of those, you know, oh, so refreshing, swim in the sea in the morning.
I kind of despise people that do that.
Well, you know, it's not like me. You know, I was with you. I mean, not that I despise the people. I despise the people that could just kind of go on about it and make it their main defining characteristic of their personality is the fact that they go swimming in the sea. But I bumped into someone just yesterday, a friend I hadn't talked to in about a year, and I said, what's the crack with you? And she goes, I've been sea swimming. So yeah, it's the first thing she mentioned, you know.
One of those.
Yeah, one of those, exactly. But out of the blue then, she just said, you should come with me tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah?
And, you know, I've been working on being a person who just says yes. Because often my, not to get too, you know, psychoanalytic, but I'm introverted, and my gut reaction when somebody invites me to something is go, oh no, there'll probably be something else I need to do, or, you know, I'll probably rather be by myself at that point, or, you know, so I used to always say no. I'm getting much better. So I just said yes. And she said, great, I'll be there at 8:45 tomorrow morning. So there I was, cycled about 40 minutes to get there. And she fucking didn't turn up.
No,
I was there on my own.
Not only does she talk about it all the time, but she doesn't even fucking do it.
I was there on my own with all these other people, like, you know, you've got grannies, and you've got young people, old people, fellas that look like they're chiseled out of marble, you know, and people doing like swimming out into the like with wetsuits on, just like going for miles and miles and miles. And I was there on my own, and I thought, oh, fucking shit, but I wasn't going to go all the way down there and then not do anything. So I got in, and I lasted about a minute and a half. It was very cold. It was freezing. I'd heard that you kind of adjust and you kind of go temperature neutral after you've been in there a while, but it didn't happen fucking quick enough. So
you're at like what? 4% body fat or something just now. Like, there's no way that you have
Does that really matter?
You have nothing to keep you warm when you're in there.
Yeah.
You know, like me, I'm like a seal. I have that layer of blubber just to keep me nice and toasty if I went in there, you know?
Yeah, so I got out after about 2 minutes, but it was good. Afterwards, I did feel, I'm not going to use the word refreshed, I felt invigorated.
That's cool. It
was good.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a wee...
I'm going again tomorrow.
Why?
Yeah, because she's actually going to show up tomorrow.
Don't go. Just don't go. That's the best. That's the best thing to do.
No, but I do actually want to go. I actually enjoyed it.
Fucking go beside her. Go like hide from her when she's getting out. Be like, oh, it's me going out.
No, I'm not going to
No.
do that.
Okay, fair. No, but for me, I'm like, the past sort of wee while there, I've been feeling a bit down in the dumps, a bit depressed, dare I say. I think
Depressed isn't a dirty word,
no,
Ross, you can
no,
say
I say
it.
depressed. Yeah, I think this second lockdown, just everything is just bogged down. The changing the daytime and stuff. Like, it's getting dark really early, so there's probably a bit of that. Teaching outside, I hate it. I hate not being able to train properly. It's a combination of everything. Like morning training, we're kind of almost handcuffed a little bit because we've got people on Zoom, and it's great to have them on there. But then we can't just do, the old like, okay, let's pair up for the class and spar.
Yeah.
For the whole hour,
Yeah.
or do drills like kumite drills and stuff like that. That stuff kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit because we've got people by themselves training because they can't have nowhere else to train. So we're adjusting it for them, and rightly so. But at the same time, it's a bit frustrating for me, But that sort of came to a halt the other day because Scott says he actually stopped catering to them and got us to spar proper show weapon with a referee and stuff. That was quite. We had Karen refereeing, and instead of saying "Yabe," he just went, "Hey,
Stop!
back over here, come on." It was very distracting.
That was funny.
But yeah, no, but that got a little bit of the emotions out. I think the tension.
It
building.
was really
It was
refreshing.
Quite refreshing.
Not that we haven't been sparring, but we've been sparring fuck all because we have had the people following training on Zoom, and if we start sparring, they've got nothing to do. So, yeah, even though we're allowed to train together and we're allowed to spar,
We haven't been doing much.
under the regulations, we haven't been doing it.
Yeah, and it is because we got the people on Zoom, but and obviously you feel bad for them. I felt a wee bit bad for them afterwards because we were, me, you, and AG were swapping on and off for a good wee while, and they were kind of sitting watching on Zoom. Probably not the best time, like sort of training experience that they had, but.
It's our life,
So sad.
and there are sessions as well. The morning trainings are supposed to be our training.
Yeah.
And when things start interfering with that, it's like there's Shido and Geckos when we open up the morning sessions to the whole world and the whole karate community and people come over. That's fine because we're kind of showing off and we're kind of
It's fun having
that
them.
we're sharing it because we want to, and it's a challenge for people. It's exciting for people, but then when there's people there and they're just, I don't want to say slowing you down, but slowing you down. Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, slowing the sessions down. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can like having to explain the routine.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
drives me a bit crazy.
It's not that we're doing, super special advanced karate. It's just we know what's coming because we have a routine that we do every week. So we know when it's Kihon time.
I think maybe that's part of it as well because of the situation that we're in. We've probably stuck to the routine much more than we ever did before now. Because it is like we do tubes, weights, Tabata, tubes, weights, Tabata, tubes, weights, Tabata, tubes, weights. But every so often, Scott throws in, okay, Kumite Day. We're just going to do Kumite.
In fact, I remember
like
back
that.
in the middle of like hard lockdown, nobody came onto the Zoom. Just nobody turned up that day for morning training on Zoom. So we were in the dojo with nobody to pander to, and he just like closed the lid on the laptop and went, "Okay, pair up," with a full hour of sparring.
Exactly.
It's great.
So yeah, I think not having that kind of way to vent, like that sort of, what's the word? Release. That release of all the sort of pent up aggression and emotion and stuff like that. For me, that's when I start to notice it. So thank God we got the heavy bag. You can just wail on that for a couple hours and stuff, help you out a little bit. But no, I'm much better now. Like on Thursday, like after that Thursday session, I was back to my old self. I think I was.
All you needed was a bit of a fight.
Just needed a fight.
Did anyone score on you? AJ scored on you.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
I remember I was refereeing.
Yeah.
Yummy!
Probably. Yeah, but no, it was good fun though. It was good fun.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But yeah, so feeling a little bit better. But yeah, I think it's a tough time. And then, like, you know, when we're like, you know, it's funny talking about it because we actually have it better because the most just now, you know, people listening probably are thinking these fuckers are still getting to train with Scott every day and train together because we're elite athletes. But, you know, everyone else is probably going, I am that person on the other end of Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, I feel sorry for the people in the, like the adults aren't allowed in the dojo just now. So in the evenings, they're on Zoom all night and you see them in their living rooms, their bedrooms training. I feel sorry for them. Like,
I
I'm
feel
like,
sorry
that must
for
be
them
tough,
too.
tough going.
And when I'm feeling sorry for myself for having to go and train outside in the cold and everything, I just think of it from the kids' perspective. They might have been looking forward to it all day, all week, some of them. Some of them really, really love karate. And if you were just not arsed and you did it on Zoom instead, or even a lot of people just aren't teaching at all, not in this dojo, I mean, you know, in other dojos people have just stopped because they don't like Zoom and they can't train outside maybe. So for the kids, you just have to do it for the kids, man. Think of the children.
Someone, please think of the children.
But we're also allowed to feel a bit fucking sorry for ourselves.
Yeah. So fuck you.
It's balance.
Yeah, man.
It's balance. This is our job. And it's fucking hard.
That's why,
right
do you know what I
now.
fucking hate? When
What?
people say, you're living the dream. I hate that. I used to agree with them
Yeah.
when I first started. I was like, I am living the dream. It's still a fucking job. You still have the stress of work. You still have, like, yeah, I'm doing what I love, but it's also, like, how you earn your living. There's stresses that come along with that. There's days where you can't be arsed. Like, you try doing Heian Shodan every day for 6 years, you'll fucking, you want to go
I know.
fucking crazy, man.
I'm only 2.5 years in.
It's like,
hard.
it is, yeah, it's still a job. And yeah, when people go, you're living the dream, what are you complaining about? A part of me wants to go.
Yeah.
You teach me Heian Shodan and I'll act like a brand new beginner kid for, let's go for 4 hours in a row. Yeah.
I know.
You know,
Sometimes, some days it's like that. I can teach Heian Shodan without, like, I can do it unconsciously. I go into a state of, you know, not being outside my body, you know, thinking about something else. And then I come to and I'm like, whoa, oh, they're doing it.
funny one. Funny. But yeah. So, but things are looking up. Feeling better. Feeling good. Excited for Christmas time.
You know, I had a really wobbly week too. But yeah, Christmas is coming.
Christmas is on the way. And we've got got a good bit going on. Like next week we've got massive online course. Keyboarder. Takanoshita.
What?
Takanoshita.
Cool. There's another one.
Japan. Rick Jackson Sensei. And the other one.
Scott Langley.
Scott.
Yeah, Zoom seminar. Is this the first time we've done like a weekend kind of Zoom course? It is.
I think we've done ones where, like, for example, do we not have Morad on a Saturday and Aidan Trimble on a Sunday or something like that?
Maybe.
We don't do that before?
Not sure.
I think we've done a Saturday, Sunday before, but this is like a package seminar. This is the first time we've done that.
Those would have been separate seminars, not just on subsequent days. But this time it's like as if you've got a Christmas course or a week or a summer course or whatever. But it's online.
I'm really looking forward to it, man. Do you know why? Because Rick Jackson Sensei has been doing Zazen meditation on Wednesday nights, and I teach on the Wednesday nights. And apparently, all anyone's done, Scott Sensei, Simon Sensei, everyone, all the Facebook
It's
friends
just
and stuff.
so refreshing.
It's amazing. Like,
Your third eye in your arsehole.
they're really, their third eye and their arseholes are this close together. And I want them to be that close together too. So I'm really I am really looking forward to that because everyone's raving about it. You see online, everyone's raving about it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait
Yeah.
for a bit. And I'm going to try and do it in Seiza.
Why? You won't get anything out of it because
Well,
your
how do
legs
you
will be
know?
screaming in pain because there's nothing magical about Seiza.
That is the challenge.
No.
Nah, maybe I should just lie down. But if I lie down, I'll fall asleep.
No,
probably.
sit down.
And you look into yourself and you realize headbutting. Yeah.
Rick Jackson is. I haven't been able to log into any of Rick Jackson's meditation sessions either. But yeah, all people do are rave about them. So
I'm
I'd
really
love to
looking forward
try.
to that. And obviously, Giwodo Sensei, trained with him a bunch now. He is one of the best instructors I've ever trained with. Scott re-put a video up of him the other day, just doing, I application for the Heian katas, and it was just like, it makes so much sense. Wow, that's great. You know,
Was he doing the applications on me? Was it that time he came over?
It was. I think it was the video was swapped between us two. Like it was when he was in the dojo.
Oh, okay. No, that wasn't me,
he was hitting me.
The first time he was over.
Yeah, but it was very cool to rewatch that, and he's great. He's really really good.
He's so strong.
Very strong,
It's like,
compact guy.
yeah.
And very fast, really fast, like stupid fast. He doesn't look fast. If you look at him, you would be like, oh, he's going to be really fast because he looks really strong and he is really strong, but he's also like he just fires out really quick.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's that Steve Ubeliness, man.
The Ubelessence.
Ubelessence.
Sounds like a perfume.
Ubliness. Essence of Ubel. By Guy Brodeur.
Wow, yes.
Jesus. Yeah. And then Takanojita, he took us on a tour in Japan to like a bunch of different dojos, some Shotokan dojos, some Wado dojos, and he was teaching kumite for a bit. He's also very fucking fast.
Oh, yeah?
He's very fast.
Is he? How old is he? No guy, young guy? I always need to know how old they are.
Medium guy. About Scott's age, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe a wee bit younger than Scott. Scott's quite old now.
He's very old. He's over the hill. Man.
Yeah. It's on the way up. Forgetting his name, forgetting katas. What's this one again?
He just changes the katas and then pretends it's always been that way. But really, he's just forgotten what he taught last time.
I think we'll get into it in a wee minute, but I think that's why we've been having such a tough time with him recently when it comes to training.
Get to that later.
Oh, man.
So he's a guy that you were in contact with last time you were in Japan?
Yeah. He was taking us around the place, so he took us to this massive Wadaru dojo. So it was like this big sports building. Well, it looks like just a normal building. Then you walk in and you realise it's a sports complex. We went up a few floors, and this place, like, it was the size, like, if it was like 2 Tala, you know how we do the big greens in Tala, like, but 2 big, like, massive, the size of like 2 basketball courts. Huge place. And around the walls was all bow staff, Joe staff, pads, all these different equipment. There was a part of the floor that was tatami, like tatamied off, like at the very edge of it. It had a heavy bag in there, and then this pristine wooden floor that was just...
Wait, a wooden floor that large?
Yeah,
Fucking
big, huge
hell.
wooden floor. And yeah, the place was like huge. It was one of the biggest karate classes I've, because it wasn't a seminar, it's just a karate class, but there was like 200 people in there. Like more so.
Jesus.
It was really busy, and that was just like a Thursday night training session. Yeah, and there were like 4 instructors going at once. Like, yeah, it was cool, like really cool. And yeah, we done like some really nice kumite drills that we done with trading with those guys, and then they were showing us. We done hangits, but like Wado style. So it was and I actually liked it better than our one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The moves just had a little bit more dynamic feeling, like it wasn't like, because a lot of hangits are really slow, and they had, they're very slow bits, but like, for example, when you're coming over to that tate uraken sort of position, they were flying up like it was like boom, bam, like, and it came down really quick. It was awesome, like, it was really cool. Little differences, but it gave the cat a whole different feeling of different kata.
Feeling of different kata feeling.
No, it was really cool. So we trained there. He took us to a couple of Shotokan dojos, training with a few guys there. But yeah, he was teaching kumite for a bit, and he was very fast.
But is he a Shotokan? No, he's not. He's from this other branch of Shotokan, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's it called? Noguchi Shotokan? Is that it?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's
Shit, we should have researched that before we started the podcast.
It's on.
Well, you've got the JKA, the Nakayama Shotokan. You've got the Egami Shotokan, which is like Shotokai, and then you've got this other one. I think it's called Noguchi. So, and Scott was saying it's actually the third branch of Shotokan, and it's I'd never heard of it, so quite. But he
was very fast, very good. So I'm looking forward to training with him. No doubt he'll get us moving. I think we'll probably be a wee sweaty session with him. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time, and that's leading up to Christmas. Like normally Christmas time, we would have like a big course to round off the year, big Christmas party.
Yeah.
No Christmas party.
No Christmas party.
No
for
big
us,
Christmas
but-
course.
No.
Very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
setting a very, very somber tone for this podcast.
Yeah, let's pause and have a wee bit of fisticuffs.
Let's go have a fight right now and then come back.
Yeah. But here's like but that's like just checking the notes there. Just lead on to the next point. Is that is a tough thing though, when not only with your own senses contradiction themselves is one thing, but when you're training with two senses, or you've got a visiting instructor or whatever, and this is something that I think we might see in the kids a little bit. Well, Rue Sensei told me to do it this way. Well, Ross Sensei told me to do it that way. AJ Sensei says that you guys are idiots. And what? Have you ever been in a situation? Because I've been in quite a few where you have two instructors who have very different ways of getting the same results. Like, for example, the biggest contrast I have experienced is Scott and Richard, both very different body types, very different styles of karate, but produce the same principles. The principles don't really change, but how they apply the principles is slightly different, I would say. Scott very whippy and relaxed, Richard very connected, and that's just one example. The way they kick, the way they punch, the way they step forward, the way they step back. Scott slingshots everything. Richard times everything together. And when I was in New York with Richard, I had to quickly change. Luckily I had that sonographer thing, so I think I did manage to change quite quick, but I was like, okay, I have to get used to this different way of moving, different way of throwing techniques, different way of generating power with my body, which was a great experience, but it was very difficult. But then in some cases I find senseis get a little bit absolutist with how they do things. It's a lot of bullshit in their karate. It has to be like this, kind of way, you know?
Yeah, true.
Have you ever found that with the kids or with people that you've trained with?
Well, first of all, with the kids, when they're brand new and they're learning Maigeri with their arms out like that, and from Heisokudachi kicking like that, one of the really common mistakes is that their arms are going everywhere while they do it. So I'm trying to tell them, you got to hold your arms still. And then I go, why do we hold our arms out when we kick? Come on, somebody tell me. You put up a hand. Because you're blocking it. No. Okay, why is it? No. Oh, it's because it's for balance. No, not for balance. Nope, it's not for balance. And then Ross Sensei says it's for balance.
It is for balance.
It's not for balance.
It's for balance.
It's not.
It is.
It's
Man,
not.
if you're on a tightrope,
No.
how are you going to stop yourself from falling on a tightrope?
But what, is it easier to kick with your arms out than with your arms here? No.
I think it definitely helps with kids' balance.
The reason you hold your arms out when you're learning to kick Maigeri is to show that you can kick without moving them.
I think that having your arms out fundamentally teaches this pullback all the time. That's it. That's the challenge, though. To have your arms out like that, which naturally kind of makes them want to do that pullback, through relaxing your shoulders and your upper body, forcing your arms to stay in one place. Stenographer mind. Fettes College, first time I was training with Scott, it was kick without moving your arms was the drill. I had my arms out here, and he's like, Ross, when you're there, you're still moving your body, but you can't see it because your arms aren't going to show it. Have it there so your arms show what your body's doing. Stenographer mind.
But I disagree with that. When your arms are out there,
I'm just saying.
Look, if my shoulder moves when my arm is here, only the people who are watching this are going to be on. When my arm is here, if I move my shoulder, you get about that much movement in my hand, right? If I do the same motion, you get that much movement in the arm, which is loads more. So
my arms aren't moving.
You're doing that deliberately.
No, I think for kids, there's obviously keeping your arms still. Anytime you hold your arms in a set position, it's going to help with that relaxed stillness.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But for kids, why are they flailing about? To try and balance. It's because they're losing the balance.
I disagree. No,
like a kid trying to kick and put their foot down in the same spot, they really struggle with that because they don't have the core strength to balance as they do it.
When you see someone trying to balance, they move from side to side, and they get this kind of thing. Everything is kind of down feeling, reaching out to the side. Okay. When you see kids learning to kick, everything comes up and back and forward. Mm-hmm. That's different.
But keeping this is keeping that level, that balance throughout the body, that distribution of weight.
Yeah.
So they've got their feet together, they've got the distribution of weight there, they're kicking, and they're doing that like this, but because they're kicking and trying to put power, they also flail because their body's firing out. But what this is doing is teaching them to keep that body straight.
You know what you're doing? This is what you do when you're arguing with me. You say I'm right, and then you just say, but you're right.
I'm right.
You go like,
But
what you're saying is great, but also
balance,
this.
Like, no, but to say is that balance is incorrect is wrong.
That's fine. But I just want them to.
So
That's fine. But I want them to believe that the really important thing is that they hold their arms still.
Yeah, I mean, I think like what I do is like that for balance. Yep, it's for balance. And then once they're doing it without wobbling, then they bring their arms in, and it's like, okay, now don't move them, because this definitely shows. I think everyone can see their tendency to pull more from here than from there.
I disagree.
Ah, well. You'll learn one day, Roo. You'll learn one day. Like you can have people have their arms down there. It doesn't look like they're moving at all. As soon as they bring them up there, that sort of having your arms and the hands beside each other, immediately you see these little micro pulls that then all of a sudden become quite apparent when your hands are beside each other.
To the person training, yeah.
Well, and also to the instructor, I see it clearly, like from there, more than from down there.
We should probably move on.
We should probably move on. But yeah, there you
Probably
go.
spent too long arguing about
I'm the best sensei. No, I'm the best sensei. But, I find like with kids with like a kata, Ru sensei does this way, Eiji sensei says that way.
What way did they say I do it?
No. Just I've heard like especially when it's a kid who maybe isn't used to being told that they're wrong often in life.
They'll argue with you.
And they say, "Oh well, Sensei Ru said I should do it that way," and I'm like, "No, he definitely didn't, because you're doing it the hell of the wrong way." Like I remember one kid, an older kid, one of the sort of teenagers, but he's got a bit of a bad attitude. And I was sitting here getting ready for the adult class, and
I remember this, yeah.
You were teaching, and he made a complete blunder of the kata. Like, he missed out, like, a move, or, like, done the move really wrong. And you were correcting it. And then he went, "Oh, well, he said do it that way," and pointed across to me. And I looked up, and I was like, "Who the fuck do you, like, what the fuck do you mean?" Like, he was doing, like, Hian Nidan or something, and he was like, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, and that kind of thing drives me a wee bit crazy.
The correct thing would have been, "Oh, sorry, it's just that Ross Sensei explained it to me this way." But instead he goes, "But he said do it." It was just like, there was so much cheek.
And then also it's like, "No, I didn't." It's like, fuck off.
There was such attitude in him. Yeah.
To tell you to do like my Toby Gary in the middle of "Here, I Need That," or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I don't know. It was very strange. But yeah. But in terms of senseis as well, like senseis who have different opinions of how technique should be done is quite frustrating.
Yeah,
especially when you're close to them. Like you have a lot of respect for both of them. It can be quite tricky.
They do say though you should. Well, I've heard people say you should just do whatever your instructor is telling you to do.
Yeah.
When you're a beginner, that is, when you're learning.
So like if you're on a course, say it's Guy. We're going to train with Guy online in a couple of weeks. Guy Brodor is saying, "No, Ru, you should really like make sure that when you kick my Gary, you start with a swing and snap at the end."
Yeah. That's the way I do it.
Like you go and then do it, and then when Scott corrects that, you go, "Well, Guy says he said that."
No, you don't.
No. Okay, interesting.
Well, you might say that. I might mention it. I might go, "Oh, but by the way, Guy told me to do it. That Guy Sensei told me to do it that way." But it wouldn't be that has to be wrong because Guy says it's this way.
Yeah. Would you ever try and argue the case?
No, because like, how could I argue with Scott about karate? And that's not what I was trying to do before when I was talking about the Mawashi Gary. It was just that he had told me two different things.
Okay,
yeah.
For example, like the contradictions between Steve and Paolo.
That's
the interesting one, right?
But also, they contradict each other even though they agree with each other.
It's wild.
Don't you see?
Well, here's the fundamental, and I'm starting to lean slightly towards the Paolo side. I have to say it, like,
yeah, me too.
Because then when you're thinking about watching that clip of Guy the other day, I'm like, Guy has managed to do what Steve does, so it's not just Steve that does it, but like that back leg drive to create power in Yakuzuki. I'm now finding that part less and less important in terms of power, like the actual, like the amount that we extend the leg. I'm now finding that just having connection to the floor and being on the balls of your foot, it's about how fast you can rotate your hips rather than how hard you push off the leg. And I'm starting to drift towards that train of thought. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't generate power from the drive of the leg, because you obviously can, because that's what Steve did. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, are we putting too much emphasis on back leg drive and not enough on quick hip rotation and that stretch short and kind of cycle style of punching?
Well, I think to do Shotokan, you've got to have back leg drive.
Because
we've
we're
got
in
these long
Zenkutsu-dachi.
stances, yeah.
As soon as you come out of Zenkutsu-dachi,
It doesn't matter
actually
anymore.
make any bit of difference.
It's about slamming the hip into that front leg,
And
isn't it?
do you want to be a fifth, sixth, seventh dan still jumping up and down in Zenkutsu-dachi all day, or do you want to be a little bit more free? That's the question, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Like,
Stop, I'm getting tingles.
I don't know.
We're cracking the fucking Da Vinci Code of karate here.
I don't know.
But
yeah,
you know how I'm going to say this. Can I say this?
Ooh, can you? Don't know what you're going to say.
So I remember you told me once that Steve Ubel doesn't really buy into Rick Houghton's karate.
I mean, Steve doesn't buy into anyone's karate.
Okay, but so it's true that it's true that he doesn't buy into Rick Houghton's karate. But on so many occasions, they've taught the exact same way of doing Gyakuzuki.
Yeah.
Having that synchronized hip and arm movement, rather than hip hand, which is what the whole karate world does because it feels snappy. They synchronize, and then there were other things, not the synchronization stuff, because Paolo is definitely into the slingshot and the whip, and he'll tell you that's the best way to punch.
Yeah.
But there were other things which he taught which were very much like Rick Houghton, very much like Steve Ubel. Even though if you asked Paolo, he'd say, there's a lot of bullshit in their karate, man.
and it's funny because we did, and I got to ask, we got to talk to Rick just after training with Paolo.
Yeah.
And Rick was inquisitive about it, which is cool. We were talking to Paolo about Rick and Steve, and he had his opinions, and we talked to Steve, and people ask Steve Ubel all the time when they're training with them about other guys and who he looks at, and he thinks, and Steve's very about it all, in my opinion. But and that's the problem, I think. Like, wouldn't it be great to have the three of them sitting down like this, talking about karate, talking about the martial arts experience, but they're so like...
Paolo would do all the talking.
He'd be like, but Steve Sensei, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
I don't like, but it would be, but you never get that. You never get these guys having these dialogues, having this open discussions.
Holy shit,
about their martial
get
arts.
the three of them on the
like this is where it starts. But they're very. But I think again, Scott Sensei says that really great thing about people who start martial arts start because of insecurity, and the insecurity only grows and builds. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But they definitely feel precious about the time and effort they put into what they're doing, and I think they're a little bit apprehensive to have a discussion where it might be challenged.
Yeah. From what little I know about those three men, I'd say Rick Houghton would be the least, least precious about being challenged. The least kind of. He'd have he wouldn't have the most. He'd have the least extreme reaction to being challenged.
For sure.
Yeah. I think he's got that hippy dippy nature where he's open to all ideas and stuff like that.
But yeah, I think
I've just thought up my dream karate seminar.
Yeah.
It would be Rick, Steve, and Paolo, and then they'd all come on the podcast after, and we'll settle it once and for all.
And we get them all pissed.
Yes.
Keep doing drunken cattle and
Paolo teaching us weird fucking kata, and Steve being like, no.
And Rick just being like,
cool,
hey,
man. I love this new kata.
Yeah, but like I think, it is like if you ever find yourself training with different instructors, man. I think the thing I've always learned is just take it all in. When you're training with whoever, just do what they do. Do what they do. You might learn something. I've trained with a really, I'm not going to say the name, but it was a really, I think he passed away actually recently. But a really shit course. It was really bad. But there was just a moment where he went, punched my hand, Oizuki, and I stepped forward to Oizuki, and as I was punching, he just moved his hand back, and then I went, whoa, and he was like, oh yeah, you were way too tight in your shoulder, like open up a bit, and I was like, that right there, I'll never forget that.
That's good.
I'll always think about that, and even though the course was diabolical, I still got that from training and listening and doing as I was told, you know? I didn't dismiss it and go, well, this guy's shit. So I was like, actually, that was actually fucking, yep, I've left a little bit better than what I was when I walked in.
That's good.
Same for the worst people, you can always take something away. So just do it, take what you like, discard what you dislike, and just keep it to yourself.
And if you start a karate podcast, you can say some things.
You just have to be willing to take the punches that you get when you see them again.
They won't listen.
We've blown enough smoke up all their arses. Like, I don't think they'll mind us talking about it.
All we do is talk about how great they are.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I know.
Especially Scott. Bastard.
Never ends. Bobag telling me how to do my katas wrong. So we've got some questions. You know what I'm saying? A couple weeks.
I know, yeah. There's people actually want to hear what we think.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to send them in. We will answer them as best we can.
We'll answer them expertly, succinctly.
Yeah. Also,
and
email. We got a few emails on YouTube. You can ask them in the YouTube comment section. We will always have a check and have a look. Matthew last was asking us to have more guests on. We have already secured our next big guest.
We're going to announce it now?
Drop the name, Roo. Drop the name.
Sensei Seth.
Sensei Seth, the YouTube sensation. The kick challenge master. Big fan of Sensei Seth. Massive YouTube following. Great videos, great content. Check out his YouTube channel. He is fantastic. Really entertaining. Lovely personality. And trains with, like, for example, I just spent last night watching about 4 videos in a row of him with UFC title contender in karate practitioner Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, them two training together, fighting together, stole some amazing teaching tips and ideas for classes from that, some excellent tips on kicking during kumite and stuff like that. Fantastic content. He's going to be on the podcast, and I'm going to be telling him why his Moashi guy is wrong.
Yeah, if you're a regular listener, folks, you'll remember we got pretty pissed off about a Sensei Seth video where he tried to talk about 3 different types of roundhouse kick that come from 3 different martial arts, which just makes no sense.
Roundhouse kick.
It's just roundhouse kick.
It's a roundhouse kick.
You've got a leg, and you got to kick something with it from around the way. It doesn't make a difference if you're from Korea or Thailand or Japan.
Yeah.
There's only one way to fucking kick something.
I will argue the point until he tells me why I'm wrong. So, are you ready for your question?
Oh, what, is this a question for me or is it for us?
This is your name was mentioned in this one, so we can both answer. But yeah, what is the best and worst thing about being an instructor?
Oh,
what's the best and worst thing about being an instructor?
Okay, the best thing is that when I don't, it's like the living the dream thing, but the way it manifests for me is that when I don't feel like going to work, it's not. I've had other jobs, and I know what it's like to not want to go to your shift in a supermarket, or to the filling station or whatever. I've done those jobs before, and it feels horrible. It's like a deep, deep dread. But when I don't really feel like coming to training, or when I don't really feel like going to teach a class, it's not that bad at all. It's just like a slight inconvenience. Maybe you're just tired, or a bit pissed off about something else, or you're not feeling up for it. But then when I get there, it's always great. I have hardly ever, maybe a handful of times in the early days when I just started, but I hardly ever finish a class thinking, I wish I hadn't just had to do that.
Yeah.
I always have enjoyed myself by the end of it, and I always enjoy doing my job. I'm one of the luckiest little fuckers in the world that I get to do this for a living. So that's it. I don't hate Mondays. Monday's a kind of an easy day for me anyway. If I was to hate one of the days of the week, it would be Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's
We
the worst
Ross
day.
and I always kind of dread Wednesdays, but then when we're doing it, it's always great.
It's never as bad as you make it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing. Would you want to do your best thing, or will I do my worst thing straight away?
The people are the best thing.
Yeah.
Best thing about being an instructor is the people you're with on a daily basis and the people you get to meet when you travel and go abroad. And being an instructor means that you get to meet more. You definitely get to meet more people. I think it's because we're Scots working for Scott as instructors. We get a bit more FaceTime with a lot of people. People want to meet us and see what we have to say and stuff. I think it's one of the perks of the job. For sure, is that people are interested in talking to you, so therefore you just naturally get a broader net of people interacting
but
with you.
karate people are a bit fucking weird, aren't they?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you seen us. Look at what you're wearing. Look at what you're wearing.
Fine. I'm a musician. Okay.
But yeah, like
This is one of my musician outfits, not one of my I'm a karate instructor outfits.
they go hand in hand, I think. But yeah, the people are the best thing for me. Like I've made friends I will have for till the end of my days, through working here. Students that I will never forget. The people are the best thing for me.
Nice. What's the worst thing? The worst thing.
Scott.
The worst. Just Scott. Yeah.
Scott.
I'm actually not sure.
Worst thing.
The worst thing about being a karate instructor is that karate is fucking hard. And sometimes I get that awful feeling where you tell yourself you might as well just pack it in, because you're never going to get it. You're never going to be as good as the person you want to be as good at. It's fucking hard. It's impossible. There's too much to learn. You know, you spend a whole lifetime at it and you never get anywhere, which for some people is part of the allure of it. It's a lifelong journey, but it's also frustrating.
Yeah.
I want to get better now. I'm surrounded in this dojo, in the inner circle, the guys we train with in the mornings, you, there's Scott, there's Karen, there's AJ, all of you guys are so much fucking better at karate than I am. And it's driving me crazy. Maybe I just overshared a little bit on the podcast.
I mean,
fuck it. This is the real shit, people.
I think, yeah. I mean, but that's also part of the journey, and I think that even though that may be the worst thing, it's also like when you have that allows you to have that little bit of improvement, which feels good though, right? Like so, but I get that. Yeah, it must feel like it's definitely frustrating when I think I'm catching up with Scott. And then all of a sudden he does something and pulls out the bag. It's inspiring. It's amazing. Also pisses me off deeply.
Yeah, it's always a double-edged thing, like a two-sided coin.
I think I'm good.
The other side of the coin is that there are people who desperately want to be good at karate, like me. I mean, the way I want to be good at karate, but they're not surrounded by inspiring karateka that they get to train with on a regular basis. So it's a curse and a blessing. Yeah,
it's also like about you, like how you approach it mentally. I think as well, like. Do you let it beat you down every day, or do you let it motivate you? And it probably dips in and out of that all
some
the time.
Days one, some days the other. Yeah.
For me, the worst thing about being an instructor is when you feel like you've let people down, or people have got let down, or feel let down by you, and you haven't realised it, or it's something that's maybe you're going to take it on your shoulders as the instructor for your students, right? So it doesn't matter what scenario it could be, whatever reason, but whenever a student is upset and you feel like it's your fault, you feel like you could have done it better, could have pushed them hard, like that kind of thing, that weighs down on me a little bit. Like if I remember there was one time, it was the World Championships, JKS World Championships in Edinburgh. So we were the home country, and I was about to go on to compete in the individual kata, and one of my students was competing at the same time, and he made a mistake in the general kata. And his dad came up to me, and in the heat of the moment, he apologised a lot because we were very close with the family. or I was very close with the kids and stuff, and the dad was very good. I was still only young at the time. But he came up to me and he was really upset because he thought I hadn't taught little Scott the Junro katas properly. There was the Junro katas they had to do in the semi-finals. To get to the final, you had to go through a round of Junro katas. We went through it because I was training them as well. So we were two of us were going through them together, and he forgot it, made a mistake, whatever. But I wasn't upset that his dad came to give out and shit. It was just before I was about to go on, the worst possible time to have that went on. He was there and he was like, he didn't, and he was really angry. And it took me back. I'd never seen him angry. I didn't know what had happened. He just said he didn't know his kata, and I was like, what's happened? And he'd forgot his Junro kata. And I ran up to him before I went up, and I was like, and he was all to check if he was okay, and he was all right. His dad was upset, but Scott was like, okay, he wasn't crying or anything like that or upset. But I felt terrible because I thought, man, if he forgot it, that means I hadn't practiced it enough with him. I should have gone over it more. Now, in hindsight, looking back at it, we practiced it a lot. It was probably just one of those things, the pressure, not a kata that he would have practiced as much as the Heians or his Tokyo kata or whatever. But we definitely went through them all a bunch of times. But I remember the weight of feeling like I had let him down. I was like, Jesus, that's like the worst feeling.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
That was awful. And it's not, oh, you're in trouble for not teaching him the kata. It was the fact that I thought, have I not given him the best shot at meddling here because he's not done it? And it's the same with a kid fucks up on a grade and doesn't go through the kata. You're like, Christ, like.
I get that feeling when I have to tell a kid that they can't grade, that they're not ready.
I always feel that's my fault. I feel like I've let them down when I have to do that, you know? Yeah, that's tough.
I think what's funny about, I think the difference between our personalities is quite like clearly exhibited there, because both my answers about what was the best and the worst thing were about myself, and both of your answers were about other people. It's like hyper extroverted sensei, hyper introverted sensei.
Yeah, that's funny, eh?
Yeah. That's why we make a good team, man.
That's it, man. That's why the yin and the yang.
Yeah. It's yin and yang, though. In fact, you know what? There's no and. You're not supposed to say and. You're just supposed to say it's yin yang.
Yin yang.
Yeah.
Yin yang. It is the third eye and the bottom.
You're the arsehole and I'm the third eye.
Wait, how am I the arsehole?
You can be the heart shaft.
I am the senpai. I will decide what eye I am. You're the evil eye. The third eye. Yeah. So, moving on.
Was that only one question?
That was one question. That was the first.
We're always so fucking long-winded.
Was the first question. That was a good question, though.
We're an hour into this podcast, by the way. Yeah. This could be a double bill.
It's all good. It's all good. Never.
Just hyper long one, yeah.
Only a couple of questions to go. Do we work on bunkai? Is application worthwhile?
No and no. Next question.
Fair enough. Could have said it better myself.
Okay. You want to go first? I went first last time. You go first.
Okay.
Do we work on bunkai?
No, we don't. Let's be honest, we don't. No. Do we dabble sometimes?
Yes.
Yes.
We do dibble dabble.
We do a bit of dabble. Do I enjoy double dabbling?
Grab my wrist. Yeah, boosh, you're dead.
Yeah. No. Do we dabble in bunkai? Yeah, we do. When Scott says he's teaching, he will sometimes teach kata through the application. Like he'll show us the move, and then he'll show us how to use that technique when somebody's attacking you, Uesuki or something like that. Is it the way that the kata, like why the kata was made for? No, if you look at application in a real sense, nobody punches Uesuki or anything like that. So no, we don't practice it. Honestly, I don't think. Is it fun? Yeah, it's really fun. It's great fun. Making up your own application is super fun, and a good way to train. It's a good way to get a understanding of what your intention, to sound a bit like Rick Houghton, what your intention is when you do the kata. What is your intention? What are you trying to do when you perform this Geramrai and Heian Shodan? Are you trying to block a Maegari, or are you doing something a little bit extra that will just give you that extra pam-pam in the technique? I think it's useful in that sense. Do I think it's worthwhile spending a lot of time practicing? Nope. I don't think it. Even with the original kata, I think that there are better ways to practice self-defense or grappling or stuff than kata. That's why I think martial arts like jiu-jitsu went their own way and are now fully on grappling the way that full contact martial arts and stuff have went another way. I think that to try and pigeonhole it in through kata is really difficult and a bit too much effort, in my opinion. I think that Jesse Enkamp came out with a great video of application, and it was very realistic, tugging, grappling, pulling and stuff. That's the best. Him and Ian Abernethy, I think, are doing the best application work online anyway. But even then, I think it's also...
Even then, Abernethy's done some funny, dodgy-looking things from time to time. Not that he's not a legend in his own right, because he is.
For sure. But do I think it's worth... Would I feel comfortable spending 1 hour a week on application? No, I wouldn't.
No. You know what? If we were going to do application, I think we should just do application. I think, Patrick McCarthy, that American guy, have you seen his applications? They're actually pretty brutal. And I think Jesse Enkamp gets his kind of bunkai sort of philosophy from Patrick McCarthy. But anyway, but there are dojos that only do that. That these people who are obsessed with bringing back the old ways and the grappling and the locks and the chokes and yada yada yada. And they're really good at it, and their applications are good, and they drill it in such a way, they do flow drills and stuff, and they actually make it so that when you're in a dangerous situation, muscle memory will take over, and you'll be able to drag the arm and do the trip and yada yada yada. But there's no point in us trying to do that, because we spend so fucking long practicing oizuki and mawashigeri, stuff that has no place in the context of a street fight.
We Geidan Mawashigeri do the trick.
Okay, sure, but not...
No, we wouldn't kick Jodan Mawashigeri.
Not Yokogeri Keiagi, anyway.
to the plums.
My Geri did.
My Geri to the plums.
Kin Geri, the golden kick.
Big fucking yosh.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I think that... I mean, we've had Rokas on the podcast, for those of you who listen to that one, Rokas. Aikido-ka, very high level Aikido-ka, was very honest with himself, had a sparring session with a MMA guy, got the shit kicked out and couldn't make anything work, couldn't grab his wrist once, and he decided that he needed to take a step back and rethink his martial art. And I think that if you're practicing Shotokan karate and doing it the katas the way that the JK standard is today, which is what everyone's doing. Like, we're all like it's been that way for a while now. You're not going to be doing the techniques the way that they were designed, the way that they were originally thought out to be. So unless you're in Okinawa, you're probably not getting proper application for katas.
Yeah.
And of course, some people go and research, like Scott Sensei will go back and look at the original kata that the Shotokan sort of evolved from, and he will give you an application based on that original form. Even then, I look at it and I go, there's no fucking way that's going to work, ever.
And even if it does work, we just look at it and we go, oh, that's the application, and then we move on.
Yeah. So no, we don't practice it. Do I think it's worthwhile? I personally wouldn't want to spend more. I would rather work on being faster, stronger, kicking and punching harder, moving. Like, for example, I would rather spend an hour on head movement.
Combat sports techniques.
I would rather become a good fighter, or if I wanted to work on self-defense, I would work on stuff like spatial awareness and what's legal, what's illegal, and that sort of thing, how to sort of shout for help, what's the best way to sort of create space and all that kind of stuff, rather than, this is how I'm going to break this guy's arm when he grabs a hold of me. Like, no, just never.
You know, I think I said this on the podcast with David Pope, but there's this ancient Bushido. Well, no, it's not ancient actually, but there's a book written on Bushido, and one of the tenets apparently of Bushido is that if you're enough of a gentleman, no one will want to start on you anyway. That's the ultimate. So it said, you know the Japanese and their etiquette.
Yeah.
The idea is if your etiquette is perfect. No, I think the line in it is no ruffian will be able to confront you.
Yeah,
They can't do it. They're like, he's too nice. I can't.
He didn't come out of the garage in Glasgow on a Saturday night before, clearly.
Come on. If there was a samurai standing there outside the garage in Glasgow, do you think anyone would fuck with him?
I've seen guys walking down Glasgow with samurai swords on them. It's not far off. Like.
All right, you vulgar Scots. You just don't understand. Bushido.
So yeah, that's the answer to that one. Next question for me. Tips to improve your kumite.
You answer that one, Ross.
Be fast. No, I think I was talking to you and Tommy about this the other night. My thoughts on how to be good at, like, first thing I always think that you have, like, for karate competition fighting, I'm assuming that they're meaning by kumite. Maybe not, but I'll talk about for karate competition fighting. I think the fundamental first thing that you need to get good at is countering yakuzuki. I think that whenever someone attacks you, if you at least have the threat of hitting them first and are able to hit them as soon as they move, they will then be hesitant to attack you, and then you can build on your offense.
Are you saying that needs to be your number one tool, the thing that you can fall back on?
First thing you need to learn is how to counter. You need to, like, for point fighting, where one touch can be the difference between winning and losing, you can't afford to get hit. You can't just think, right, well, I'm just going to go forward, bang, 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 and hope for the best. You have to be able to pick the person off. So I think, like, what coming up, like, the thing that I was that got drilled into me from day one was yakuzuki. I think that if you want to be good at kumite, you need to be able to throw a yakuzuki as soon as somebody moves. Be able to get used to, as soon as somebody enters your space, to throw that yakuzuki. I call it, like, the bubble, like your personal space, your bubble. As soon as somebody starts coming into your bubble, you have to be able to throw that yakuzuki straight away. As soon as, like, personally, as someone who fights, who's shifted between being a counter fighter and now being a little bit more aggressive, and I shift a little bit depending on who I'm fighting, I know that if somebody's sitting low in their stance, and if I move forward, they twitch with their yakuzuki hand, I know that I can't just go in. I have to draw that punch out first. So already there's a level of hesitance on my part as the aggressor, and I'm now having to play the chess game of drawing that punch out. And that just comes from having a good, like, point scorer, just as, like, I'm going to wait, as soon as you move, bang, I'm going to get you. That is super easy technique to perform. It's an easy concept to train. You just have somebody coming in at you, bang, line drills all day. As soon as you have that and you create that hesitation, then you then have the ability to work on your own offense. And offense is a very tricky thing. That's the hardest thing, to be able to throw techniques together that make them create openings for you to score. So first tip is get a really good yakuzuki and create doubt in your opponent. Then you're going to be able to start to give yourself the freedom to work on your own sort of offense.
Okay, so if the drill is the line drill, where people will attack you and you'll counter, you'll do that counter yakuzuki. What is it that you need to watch for when you're doing it? Then in your stance, in your technique. How do you throw it? Is it just if you manage to hit them, then you're doing a good job?
Oh yeah, as simple as that. Like, obviously, I mean, assuming that you know how to throw yakuzuki, like, drive in really low, keep low. Throw in deep, straight line punch, straight line back, rotate your body all the way in, get as much reach out of it as you can, and make sure you always come back to that safe distance. That's what you're doing. Yeah. Literally drive in, yakuzuki, come back out. Simple as that. When you're training it, don't have people attacking you. Don't start off by having people attack you willy-nilly. Have them attack Kazamazuki, yakuzuki, like very basic yakuzuki mawashigeri. And as soon as you see them start their attack, you want to go in. And if you can just develop that intuition to at least, like, not only are you going to have the intuition to counter quick, you're also going to then be able to very quickly see when the attack's building up to come. You'll see the tendencies that everyone has before they shoot in for something, and that's what you want to try and be able to read, and doing that kind of training will help that a lot. And then in terms of offense, I think in terms of offense, that will come, like, that's a little bit trickier to do, to be able to put combinations together that open an opponent up and allow you to get that winning point. That takes a lot of practice. But I think to get better, have that good Yakuzuki. If you're talking about offense, distance control, you always want to be the person dictating where the fight's taking place distance-wise. Fight at your distance, not the other person's distance. And that means that you need to have attacks from both sides. So you need to have a right, like, for example, I have a very good Chudan Moashigeri with my right leg that I can pull out the bag when I need to. And I also have very fast Kazamazuki and very fast front leg Moashigeri that I can always threaten with at that long range distance. So I always keep the person where I want them to be. If I want them to keep them back, I'll throw that Kazamazuki or that front leg Moashigeri, and that will stop them from coming closer if I don't want them to. And I can keep them at that distance and then try and work them into a corner, work them into a space, or switch an angle on them where I can then release that right leg Moashigeri or come in over the top 1-2, which is my go-to sort of moves when I'm fighting.
Nice.
So yeah.
Us.
Yeah, it all stems from that Yakuzuki though. If you give them a reason to not want to come in, you're then already taking control of the fight. This actually, I said this one for last, this is quite a fun one. Who's the biggest messer in the dojo? Who is the person who carries on the most when we're training? That's quite
Well,
fun.
actually, that's funny because it is coming up to Christmas. And at our dojo Christmas party, which obviously isn't happening this year, we'll have to do a Zoom event or something. But at our dojo Christmas party, we have a few awards that we give out. And there's an award for...
I'm very proud of this award.
Yeah, well, hang on. We've got an award for the best technique.
Yeah.
Best technique, and there's one for senior, one for junior. Then there's one for most improved, one senior, one junior. And then there's one for
Best spirit.
Best spirit, one senior, one junior. And then there's one which is only for the seniors.
Yeah.
And it's the Wee Ball Bag Award. And that award goes
I've made
to...
that phrase more famous.
I hope there's no Scots listening now, Ross, because they're all going to want to take credit.
This has definitely travelled the world way more than any Scottish TV has. You know, like
The Wee Ball Bag Award. It's the award itself is like a plastic Viking stuck to a little.
it's a really horrible like thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It's a shitty looking award, but it's got a little, it's got a little platform with Wee Ball Bag engraved on it. AJ like kind of burned it in. It looks really nice. It looks shit, but it looks nice. And
it looks how it's supposed to look. Look at it that way. Yeah.
It's an award for being a bit of a legend, but also a bit of a messer.
Yeah, it's like, and we give it to the person who we've, I don't know, been taking the piss out of the most, who has, I don't know, just whoever's been a wee ball bag. Last year it was Brian Rooney.
And we basically gave him that award because he doesn't train anymore. What the fuck?
It's because what it was is he, because every day he would say, "I'll be down."
He would keep
You know
promising.
me. I that's me. I'm good to go now. I'll be down to training.
I love my karate.
And obviously Brian's a really good friend and stuff. But he would never show up, so we always go like, "Where's Brian, the wee ball bag, man?" And then it's like, okay, we're giving him an award for being the best wee ball bag because he made it to the Christmas party, all right, So yeah, that was funny.
But the eternal wee ball bag.
The people who like, well, who are? Because I have to say, this dojo has quite a few messes. Like,
I know, but there's only one ultimate, isn't there?
Well,
I know you think you're a bit of a mess.
I'm nothing compared to
Tommy Butler.
Godan
HDKI.
Yeah. Because sometimes I like to train really hard.
Tommy always just wants to take the piss. He's an eighth down when it comes to fucking being a clown.
Simple things like I remember we were doing Unsu in the middle of the Monday night kata session, and it's we've just done that. What fucking bad the karate is now I'm asking. Shuto bump turn Yakuzuki, yeah? the squeeze punch. High toe, yeah, high toe fucking turn up, and then he's coming up for that sort of double camera act, and as he's
Oh yeah.
he just starts fucking farting, but the fart is a perfect like zip noise with his drop. He's just. And he's looking at me in the act, like looking at me as he's doing it all the way up.
It's
and
like the
man,
way-
I fucking couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. And Scott's coming up like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like fucking couple of bob bags. What the fuck? And we were like, couldn't breathe.
It's like the way slow moves in karate always start fast. It's like this feeling of, "Hey." So for Tommy, it was like this feeling of, kind of like squeaks off at the end.
Yeah,
Like,
it just started cutting off towards the end. Like, oh man. He's the worst. Oh, but so many times, man. Everything just. He's just the biggest messer.
and you know, when he starts doing drunk karate.
That's the best.
There's so many videos out there,
Oh, man.
none of which are suitable for
I've never.
for public
there's some
distribution.
videos I've said to each other we'd never show anyone because of the nick we've been in, and he just when he gets in like.
But
there's a certain point where he tapers off, and you just can't he's gone. That's it.
There is a great one, which is not too explicit, of him and me trying Goju Shiho Show in Coppers.
For those who don't know, Coppers is a big nightclub here in Dublin.
And the only reason you'd go to Coppers is if you were one, very desperate, or two, very drunk. And you don't have to be desperate if you're very drunk, but oftentimes we do end up very drunk.
That's it.
And we end up in Coppers. So, yeah, and like, man,
It's hilarious. Like me and Tommy in San Diego training with Steve. One night we had our bottle of whiskey as we do, and we decided we were talking about karate and Steve and how amazing Steve was, and we had such a great time and stuff. And then we're like, and I was like, oh man, he's hit so hard. And then we were talking about Jackie Chan. You ever seen Jackie Chan? He's holding the egg and he punches and breaks the board with the egg in his hand. It's like, yeah. It's like, do you think that's real? And I was like, let's find out. And we went to the garage with the carton of eggs and we started smacking each other in the body with these eggs. And then eventually it turns into just a big egg fight at the back.
but you can't have that kind of crack without Tommy.
No, there's like that. It's not like you try and have that same crack with someone else, and they don't have the silliness to keep it going. Eventually, they have a little voice in their head that says, "No, don't do that." Tommy has no voice.
He
Tommy
only has
no
a
brain.
devil on his
He's just-
shoulder. He has
that's
no
it.
angel on his shoulder.
That's it, exactly.
This is really actually quite sad. Because Tommy's just left us.
Don't stop. Just moved.
Tommy's moved to fucking Cavan, which is in a different province.
But honourable mentions of messers. Barry Sheen. He's quite a sneaky wee messer. He gives out like
unassuming
like
messer.
we'll be because he's mad for the karate. He loves his karate, but we'll be there and I'll be like, say, guys, move faster for like this is the corrections that you need to make. Okay, so full speed, full power this time, ready? And I'll be like, okay, left leg forward, and and he will roar like, yeah! like so loud. And he'll be deadpan, like super serious face.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't be able to count. I'm like, I can't count anymore. I'm like, Jesus. Mark, when he was here, Mark Specht, bit of a messer.
Respect. Yeah.
Bit of a messer. You, when you've got a few cans in you turn into a wee bit of a messer.
No, I'm introverted and serious. I have nothing but dogged seriousness
Scott's a
about
mess.
me.
Scott's the worst, man.
Huh?
Scott messes all the time. When it's
How
not,
so?
when he's not teaching.
Oh yeah, true.
If he's not
yeah,
if you're teaching up at Can Gecko, there's always a wee bit of giggle and laughter and messing going on. It's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
Scott
yeah.
Sensei in the corner.
That's true.
Taking the piss
He's
or-
having his
or
little
punching
moment. He
somebody.
doesn't get the chance often enough, in fairness. The poor fella. Yeah, but you're like Tommy's sidekick when it comes to the mess, and you don't fucking get away with
We
anything.
just enjoy the messing. That's it. He suggests it, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's good fun. Good fun. But yeah, those are that's the biggest messer. Tommy, biggest messer in the dojo.
Yeah, definitely. Even though he's not in the dojo anymore because he moved away to the province of Ulster.
Why do you have to remind me every time?
Because I'm angry. He just left us.
He left us. Yeah. Oh well. Ye shall be missed. Is it time?
Now it's time.
It's time.
Okay.
It's time now for the Fools
Of the week. And I've got one. I'm going to go straight in. All right. Now, don't be upset.
I'm already upset.
Don't be angry.
I'm already angry.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it to piss you off. Okay? I washed my belt. I know you're not supposed to. I know it's like a sacred rule of Budo that you're not supposed to wash your belt, but I washed it. And I had a good reason.
You get shit on it.
Well, yeah. No, not shit.
It's the only reason I can think of.
No, I didn't get shit on. How would you get shit on your belt? Anyway.
Maybe you went with your belt still on and it tucks in. And you don't realise it.
How could you go to the bathroom with your belt still on?
I don't know. Maybe you just love walking about the house in the karate doggy. Like,
anyway, we've been teaching outdoors. And as I said earlier, you know, when you're feeling a bit, you know, less than enthusiastic, you just remember that you're just doing it for the kids. All right. So I just want to give all I can to make sure they get their karate lesson and they leave happy. And they always want to play helicopter. Even when they're in the middle of the pouring rain out in the park and it's wet and it's mucky and they want to play fucking helicopter, my belt is in my bag. So I go and I get my belt and we play helicopter. We play the Belt of Doom. People who don't know, helicopter, you spin your belt around and the children stand in a circle and they have to jump over the belt. And when you get hit by the belt, you're out. It's just a basic little game. But obviously, if it's mucky and rainy in the middle of winter in Ireland and you're playing this game with your belt becomes covered in muck.
yeah.
So my belt had gotten very mucky. So that's an alright reason to wash it, isn't it? But you know, I put it on then the first time after I'd washed it and I could feel that the...
Just means you've washed the second Dan off and now you're back to first Dan.
The Budo kind of essence had been washed out and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't punch. I couldn't make a front stance. I was falling over all the time. You know, wasn't the same.
Did you wash your belt? Because I know Tall Paul washes his belt. His belt's very white all the time.
You think people whose belts have gone really white, it's because they wash them?
I think people wash their belts, man.
Because they want it to turn white faster?
No. I know, as in, like, normally, like, mine, like, my belt is disgusting, right? It's talking at this point. Barking at people,
Feed me, Seymour.
So, you know, what I do is I actually rinse it sometimes, because sometimes I'm just like, this is actually fucking disgusting. I'll give it a rinse, but I wouldn't put it in the wash machine, like, or anything like that. Like,
Maybe you should.
But I'm scared because colour can come off, like... The dye comes off a little bit. I'm scared that to turn, like, I don't know, fuck up.
So when I did it, none of the black came off as far as I could see. Maybe if you washed it again and again and again, some of the black would come off. But the white bits got kind of whiter.
That's what I'm saying. Paul's white bits
are very white.
Really white. So I think he washes his belt every time.
That's it. Your white bits are kind of brown.
My white bits are
yellow.
grey, brown and yellow, yeah. Like, yeah, because the colour is rubbing off, but it's, like, not coming off completely.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Give it a wash. Go on.
Give it a wash, yeah. Maybe.
But then watch out for your first few sessions after you get back, because the Budo is just gone out of the belt.
That's it.
You get smacked.
Yeah. Get fucking clipped.
Okay, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week actually happened on the way here, man. On the way here, I just finished teaching outside, and I was walking up to do Zoom in here for the adults. And I was walking along past these houses on the way here, and this little girl came out of our gate. Our wee gate was open, and she came out full pelt and slammed right into me. She didn't see me. I was already walking across, and she was like, I'm going to get to the front seat.
Oh, no.
And I took this little girl was done, man. She like fucking cracked right into me, and I was like, oh, Jesus! It was like, oh no! And I was like, you okay? And her mum was cutting. I was like, I did. This kid starts. You know the way when kids do, they're like that.
The slow cry.
And I was like, no. But the mum was like, oh, I seen her run out there and she didn't see you, don't worry. I was like, thank God. But this little girl was crying. Like, no,
Is that the full story now, Ross?
No, what happened was
Did you do the pivot hook?
This kid came out and I just fucking flying kneed her right in the face.
Your training just kicked in.
Up by a couple of ground and pound shots to
Oh man! And they were
so-
like, "She's out! Stop the fight! Stop the fight!"
Yeah, so yeah, this little I act without intent, but like yeah, this little girl.
Just by being a man in the world, you ended up fucking flooring a little girl.
There's a wee shame, and that's the patriarchy.
That's pretty. I mean, well, yeah.
It's unfair. Just unfair.
We're just out here taking up space, you know.
That's it,
We
exactly.
try not to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know it's more comfortable if I spread my legs out like this.
it's just the way. There's no other reason.
Sitting like fucking this on the bus is shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, I'm a feminist, but come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that was a wee bit. That was a fail of the day.
You didn't have your Zan Shin, man. You would have seen her coming.
I was get to class. That was my came out of nowhere, man. I was like literally like what?
I should have just kept walking.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
I felt terrible.
Oh,
Poor wee
shame.
thing. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Well, that's a note to end the podcast on anyway.
Made love, that's great. But thanks very much for listening, guys. It has been fun. First time on video, yes. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so hopefully next week, Sensei Seth.
Next time you'll be hearing from us, you'll be hearing from bit of a karate legend now. A bit of a
YouTube
one of the
star.
one of the top karate YouTubers at the moment. So yeah.
Yep, very good. And if you see him, he kind of defies physics because he's like your build. Taller than me.
Yeah.
My shape and size.
Yeah.
But can jump and spin and flippy kick all the bottles in the world and
The
everything. It's
ninja
amazing.
shit that
It's
he
amazing.
pulls out is
He's
fucking awesome.
Very athletic. Very fun to see. So yeah, enjoy that one. I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Deep bows and oses.
Os.
It's 3, 2, 1.